everyone, I'm AP Singh, Joint Director MDC Group and Senior Faculty at NEXT IAS. I welcome you all on behalf of NEXT IAS in the Civil Services Examination 2021 Conclave, where we all are going to discuss various facets of Civil Services Examination. But before I proceed forward, I wish and I hope every one of you is doing well. Please do take care of yourself. Now, when we come to the Civil Services Examination, or for that matter, any examination, and if you want to achieve success in that examination, it has two important connotations. A, to understand yourself, and B, understand the examination first. And when you understand yourself, that very well would be done by you. When you know your own strengths, when you know your own weaknesses, you will move in that direction. What exactly it takes to get selected in the Civil Services Examination, in that one important aspect is the Civil Services Examination syllabus. A, indicative syllabus. B, that syllabus, that part of the syllabus from where the questions have been asked, but that is implicit, not explicitly given in the syllabus prescribed by the UPSC in their notification of the Civil Services Examination. If we see Civil Services Examination syllabus, we mainly see this syllabus in two ways. One, what has explicitly been prescribed by the UPSC in their notification, and two, that what we have seen the questions coming in the examination in previous year. On the basis of those questions, we try and interpret that what additional areas can be added into that, or how to read the syllabus that has been prescribed in the notification. So we'll come into that part. Here in this conclave, we'll be discussing about the number of questions they have been asked in the past, what is the syllabus that is mentioned, what kind of a question have been asked by the UPSC in the past, and along with this, what are the various reference material you can have or you shall have, and along with this, general understanding with respect to the preparation also will be discussed, what key things you can keep in mind. So various aspects we'll be discussing. First, we'll go into the Indian polity area. I'll be taking your Indian polity and as well as the environment segment here. So first, remember, is Indian polity. Indian polity and environment, if we club those two subjects together, they almost account for 1/3 of the total marks coming in the prelims examination of civil services. In civil services main examination, environment area does not bring too many number of questions. 2 questions, 3 questions. At times we have seen only 1 question also coming. So on an average basis in the civil services main examination, we have 2 questions coming from the environment area, but significant number of questions they do come from the polity area. So polity as a subject is not only significant from the prelim examination point of view, but also significant from the main examination point of view, and also do have a very important role to play when it comes to a performance in the civil services interview too. Right now, first we see in the civil services prelim examination, the number of questions they have been asked in the past from the Indian polity area. That is 2013, the year we witnessed a change in the UPSC examination pattern. 19 questions, 2014, 12 questions, 2015, 13 questions, 2016, 7 questions, 2017, 23 questions, 2018, 14, 2019, 13 question, and 2020, 17 question. This year, we have seen 17 question coming in the prelims examination. On an average basis, if we see around 15 to 16 questions, we may expect from the polity area. Sometimes even more, sometimes less also may be there. But always remember that it's not about 10, 12, 14, 15, 18, 20 question. It's about understanding one thing, that this area is inevitably to be prepared. It is indispensable. We cannot simply do away with this area, and still we would expect to have success in the civil services examination. So from that point of view, this tells you that we cannot have our comprehensive preparation of civil services examination unless we have a comprehensive preparation of Indian polity area too. So that's one idea with the help of those questions. Now, what are the areas that are given in the syllabus of the Indian polity here if you see? So number 1 is constitution. In fact, Indian polity syllabus can be divided into 2 parts. One is the Constitution of India, and second is the information from other areas. This is other areas. So generally we see good amount of bearing of the constitutional provisions in the questions, not only in prelim examination as well as in main examination. So it means one must be having a thorough understanding of the provisions given in the Constitution of India. And once we have a thorough understanding over here, most of the question where verbatim questions asked or the questions coming from the various articles of the Constitution of India. If you have gone through those provisions, you will be able to answer those questions. For that, you need to have a comprehensive understanding and as well as preparation of the Constitution of India. And plus, there will be the many other areas too. We'll discuss with the help of questions too. So one is Constitution, and simply we say other. In that example, that's political system. So question with respect to the system where the decisions are being made, the government working, the government, what kind of a government we have, parliamentary form of government, presidential form of government, we have some places monarchy, some places constitutional monarchy, some places absolute monarchy, some places there are the authoritarian rules. So on the basis of this, the question keep coming that what kind of a political system does exist in various places. So one question from, or the question from the political systems, Panchayati Raj related questions, public policy is also one of the significant area from the civil services polity point of view, where the question comes from the various government policies, the schemes, the programs they run. So that's a one area. And along with this, the question pertaining to the right issues. So not only the questions coming from the fundamental rights or constitutional rights as per the Constitution of India, but along with this, the question also gets connected with the Universal Declaration on Human Rights or International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights or International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, and various other facets with respect to, example, legal rights, natural rights, principle of natural justice combined with the natural rights. So these are the various facets from where the question keep coming the examination. So if we see the prelim syllabus, this syllabus given by the UPSC appears to be very brief and concise, but if we see on the basis of questions they have been asked in the examination, then the domain of those areas, it become broader, it become wider. An example, if you see detailed syllabus of the prelims examination, so number one is historical underpinnings and evolution. Here we have a overlapping between the areas of Indian history and as well as Indian polity. Especially here the question comes from the various legislations enacted by the British Parliament during the British regime, and as well as the various committees and commissions which were appointed, A, by the Britishers and B, even by the Indian National Congress. And at that point in time, the freedom struggle that was going on in this journey, in this entire journey, what kind of Indian thoughts and ideas came forward with respect to the evolution of Constitution, which were later on reflected in the Constitution of India. So example, we talk about the Regulating Act 1773 and onwards, 1784 Act and onward. So if we talk about the Regulating Act 1773, Pitt's India Act 1784, or further onwards, the question coming from this area. So one we divide from 1773 to 1858, then there is a 1858 to the India Independence Act 1947, and from then third part we take mainly from the December 9, 1946, the first meeting of the Constituent Assembly of India, to 26th of January 1950, when the Constitution of India comes into effect. That's the date on which the Constitution of India became effective. So what we see that this is historical underpinning and evolution. In this part of the syllabus, generally, if you see the questions over here are more factual in nature, information based, the informations which we can have from the various development taking place in the form of those legislations, enactments from the British Parliament, and as I told you, from like example, Cripps Mission, Salmon Commission, Cabinet Mission. So questions related to those, that what informations we can have from those areas, like example, Nehru Report. So from these areas the question comes, but again I have already told you the overlapping areas between Indian history and as well as Indian polity. Then we have the salient features of the Constitution of India. So that's one. Now here onwards the Constitution begins. So salient feature of the Constitution, systems of government. So here it is combined with that political system over there. So what kind of a systems of government we have over there? So that in the syllabus we have that political system. Again we come back to the Constitution, that is preamble. Not only very significant from the prelim point of view, but also from the main examination point of view. In fact, at times it becomes very significant area. We have seen Berubari judgment, Keshwan and Bharti versus State of Kerala, LIC of India case, and keeping in mind those cases, we have come to know that the preamble is a part of the Constitution of India, an important part of the Constitution of India, although on its own is having no authority to provide the source or is neither a source of authority nor any source of limitations on the certain other authorities there. So what is this? Remember, if you see the preamble, we the people of India having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, every of those words become the question of the examination. In the main examination last time they asked about explaining those 5 words. We have seen the question coming from the liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship. So we see the question coming from the liberty in the prelim examination last year, or equality of status and of opportunity, fraternity, assuring dignity of individual, unity and integrity of the nation. So the question comes from all those areas in the examination. Along with this, one significant area is constitution amendment, especially article 368 in detail need to be covered here. That's a constitution amendment. Whole of the constitution is significant, but especially the question coming from what areas is fundamental rights, directive principles of the state policy. This year we have seen 3 questions coming from the areas related to the directive principle of the state policy. This is so directive principle of state policy, fundamental rights and fundamental duties. Fundamental duties. Then we have the questions from the legislature, union legislature and state legislature. So Parliament of India, that consisting of President of India, Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha, House of People and Council of State, and the state legislature, that is consisting of governor, the state legislative assembly, and whatever states we have the state legislative council, in that case the state legislative council and the state legislative assembly. So question from there. Then the question comes from the executive, the union government and as well as the state government, and then the question also comes from the local government, and along with this the question comes from the various ministries and department. So with respect to what are the various department under the what are various ministries, B, what are the various subjects which are allocated to the certain ministries, and C, then certain ministry specific programs, initiatives may be there. So the questions related to those areas. So that is one area from where the question comes in the prelim examination. Along with this, the question from judiciary, especially the part 5 and part 6, if we see, so in the part 5 we have a Supreme Court, and in part 6 especially we talk about the High Court. So this is Supreme Court and High Court, and then we have a subordinate judiciary too, but the more question comes from the High Court and Supreme Court, generally more question from the Supreme Court. In fact, there are the certain areas which are relatively more important from the Supreme Court. Number 1 is with respect to the constitution of the Supreme Court itself, and then judiciary, the question comes from the impeachment of the judges, that's an important area, and then along with this the jurisdiction of the Supreme Court becomes an important aspect of the prelims examination, especially from the article 131 onward, the original jurisdiction. Then we see the appellate jurisdiction 132, 133, 134. So question from those areas, civil and criminal both, in the appellate jurisdiction in the areas where the constitutional interpretation is needed. Then we have Article 136, special leave petition, or Article 137, that's a revisory jurisdiction, the review petition filed under which. And then we have Article 142, especially with respect to doing complete justice. So the various aspects of the Supreme Court, once you study a little more in detail, then the High Court understanding also can be based on that. In polity, the significant point is this, that when you read the various provisions of the Constitution of India, in the later part of your preparation, you would realize that every of those parts are somehow connected to the many other parts too. And that's why, remember, there are gelling takes place when it comes to the entire study which has been done by you. The various areas that have been prepared by you, somehow they get connected with each other, and that's why once you have a thorough preparation, retention of those information from the examination point of view becomes relatively easier. So that is also one good thing from the polity point of view. This is, remember, I'm not discussing in great detail all of those areas because it will take too much of a time, but here I'm trying to give you an understanding that if you really want to have a serious preparation from the examination point of view, then the entire syllabus need to be kept in mind, the various facets of the syllabus need to be kept in mind, and also we need to keep in mind that what type of questions have been asked in the examination from those areas in the prelim as well as in the main examination there. So that's one. Like example, union territories. So especially here in the union territories, we see Article 239 and 239 onwards provision related to the union territories in the Constitution of India. Then we see the various laws that have been enacted by the Parliament, keeping in mind the various union territories of Union Territory of Delhi, or that is National Capital Territory of Delhi, and that is Union Territory of Puducherry. Recently, we have seen Jammu and Kashmir reorganization. So Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir. These three relatively more significant. And then there are the questions related to the other union territories too, but Delhi, Puducherry, and as well as the Jammu and Kashmir slightly more important. And then the questions with respect to the provision in the Constitution of India with respect to the union territories. Then we have the questions from the Schedule A and tribal areas. Schedule 5 and Schedule 6 becomes relatively more significant from the examination point of view, including Article 244 of the Constitution. Union and state relation is also one of the significant area, Part 11 of the Constitution of India, talking about the legislative relations between center and state, administrative relations between center and state. So those areas, including example 245, Article 246, 246A, giving us an idea about who can make law, in what areas they can make law. So that's legislative relations. And then we move forward over there, including Article 248, which talks about the residuary power. And then we come into the significant aspect of the second part where the administrative relations are highlighted. So that's one union state relation, also very important area when from the civil services main examination point of view. And then we have an election and representation of people act, also specified in the civil services main examination syllabus. This year also we had question A from the part 15 of the Constitution of India with respect to the election, and number 2 is the Representation of People Act 1950, Representation of People Act 1951, and then associated election related orders, rules, regulations, etc., including various other provisions. Like we have Article 82 of the Constitution of India, Article 170 of the Constitution of India, which talks about the readjustments of the seats. And along with this, Parliament has enacted Delimitation Commission Act, and under that we have got the delimitation commissions appointed there. 4 acts we have seen in the past, and under which the delimitation commissions have been appointed. So questions with respect to delimitations also. So that's remember. And then there is one other area which is also very important, is the various bodies, constitutional bodies, extra constitutional bodies, among them the ordinary statutory bodies and as well as the non-statutory bodies. So the question comes from the various type of institutions, various type of bodies. Are they the quasi-judicial bodies, or what are their functions, what are their mandates, how the chairperson members appointed, and etc. So what are the various provision in the Constitution of India, and what are the various provision in the various laws, and as well as the government programs with respect to those various bodies over there. So the question comes from this. Like example, we talk about among the constitutional bodies like Comptroller General of India, Finance Commission, Election Commission, UPSC, significant bodies over there. Similarly, example, if you talk about the statutory bodies, among them those statutory bodies, like number of statutory bodies, they from there the question keep coming in the examination. Especially remember, statutory bodies means the bodies which are established by law. Example, we talk about the National Commission for Women, National Commission for the Protection of Child Rights, that's simply called a National Commission for Children, National Commission for Minorities, National Human Rights Commission, State Human Rights Commission. What happens over there? Example, the Central Vigilance Commission. So we talk about this, these are various bodies which are established by the law. And then we have the non-statutory bodies also. Like example, we have got the Niti Aayog and various, like example, Law Commission, which are non-statutory bodies. So question coming from those areas. And then we have the questions in the examination from the important terms. Like we were talking about some of the terms which are mentioned in the Constitution of India, and some of the terms which are part of the study of the political system, and as well as Indian polity in general. Like example, last time they asked the question from liberty, social capital, or they asked the question this year from constitutional democracy. But anybody who have attended the classes, or all of you shall have an idea that when we study in the class, we do not study only those limited aspects of the information specified there in the syllabus. Example, when we see Constitution, so when we start studying the Constitution, before we go into the provision of the Constitution, we understand what does really the Constitution mean. And not only what does the Constitution mean, what is Constitution, what is constitutional law, what is constitutionalism, what is constitutional morality, what is constitutional government, or what is constitutional democracy. So we talk about the various aspects associated with the constitution itself. What is grand norm? So we study over there these the various phases, and that's why we are able to answer the question in the examination. Like example, when we go through the preamble, so when we see we the people of India having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic. So we study sovereign. It's not only we study sovereign. So we study the sovereignty from the various perspectives, ranging from the United Nations understanding of the sovereignty, to the various scholars understanding of the sovereignty, to the India's foreign policies understanding with respect to the sovereignty. So we study, and then we see the number of international conventions and protocols also, like Montevideo Convention, what it says with respect to the state or with respect to the sovereignty aspect. What is the Westphalian sovereignty it talks about? So that's the one example. We say secular. So what does the secularism espoused by the Constitution of India means to us? What the secularism in general is there for the people? What is a Western secularism? So we see the various facets. So it's not only like studying the secularism, then we see where the secularism comes from, especially when we talk about the fundamental rights, Article 25, 26, 27, 28, how they contribute in the secularism aspect, how the minority rights are related to the secularism aspect. So many facets has to be studied, so that not only we can answer the question in the prelims, also we can answer the question in the main examination. Then there is a question related to the prominent personalities and thoughts. Current information based question, they are very significant from the examination point of view, and as well as the miscellaneous areas. Current informations, they help you in two ways. Number one, we had to get the informations also, the informations which were not earlier available, now they have come in news. And number two, it also helps you understand that which portion of the Indian polity conventional syllabus is going to be becoming more prominent, more significant in the forthcoming examination, especially keeping in mind those areas, because once you have an understanding, you can have a better preparation of it. Like example, if we see that is in your preparation also, so in your strategy related, when we see this, keep this in mind, that current affairs or inculcating current issues which are going on in your preparation is going to be one of the significant portion of a polity preparation. Like suppose if we see the August 2019, we witnessed number of events taking place with respect to the state of Jammu and Kashmir getting reorganized in the form of two union territories, the Union Territory of Jammu and Kashmir and as well as the Union Territory of Ladakh. So what you have got from this, that this was the issue which was going on. Now if we see this, so it becomes an understanding has to be taken from there is what areas I shall be preparing from this. So here remember, not only the people's viewpoint with respect to the state reorganization. So here example, you begin from there. This is Jammu and Kashmir was there. So Article 370. So first understanding comes from here itself over there. Part 21 of the Constitution of India, temporary, transitional, special provisions. So what are the provisions in the Constitution of India? Not only with respect to the Jammu and Kashmir, but with respect to the other areas also, ranging from the Maharashtra and Gujarat to the Nagaland, to the Assam, to the Manipur, to the Sikkim, to Arunachal Pradesh, Mizoram, Goa. So you study about that. So that's the one area we had to cover. Then we talk about the number two is what reorganization took place. So the reorganization, it means we are talking about part 2 of the Constitution of India, part 1 of the Constitution of India. In part 1 of the Constitution of India, we are talking Article 1, Article 2, Article 3, Article 4. Article 2 and 3 becomes relatively more significant from the preparation point of view. So part 1, we got that maybe the part 1 is one area which we need to study. Now we were talking about this reorganization. So what are the reorganization related history we have in India with respect to the reorganization of state? So you move back and you study about the number of commissions they have been appointed with respect to the state reorganization. And then you also study about the State Reorganization Act 1956. And then you go over the period of time of the understanding of the various state reorganization. Then only you will be able to have a comprehensive preparation. If you only want to know that what areas shall be more prominently to be covered from the forthcoming examination point of view and just focus on those aspects superficially, you will not be able to do justice with the preparation. So I shall suggest all of you who are the sincere candidates from the examination point of view that it doesn't matter where you get the information from, as long as you have the information. But we have to have those information. So unless you have a content, you will not be able to associate this content content in the proper context over there. And that's why, remember, first the information needed to be there. So if you have an information, then only you will be able to analyze and synthesize over there. So first the information has to be there. That's, remember. So this is what example you study about the reorganization. And if you see this Article 2 and Article 3 related decisions taken by the Parliament by law does not amount to a constitution amendment. So here itself we have studied there. So what happens over there? Once you start covering in from this way, that what are the areas which are in news, and connect this. Similarly, example, once you studied this, and then we see some months down the line, there is issue comes with respect to the merger of Daman and Diu and Dadra and Nagar Haveli. So that was also kind of a merger of the Union territories. Now whole of those areas are covered. Then there will be only addition of that. So once you cover one topic, next time only some extra 2 or 3 more information, facts can be added to that. The topic is already covered by you. But this you will be able to do only when you have a one set of complete preparation of the entire syllabus. So once you are able to do this, the revision can be done keeping in mind that what are the issues which are floating around us, especially in the current spectrum over there. So that gives you an idea how to go for the effective revision, or the revision of the notes, how will take place. It automatically will come to you understanding. So that's one part of the prelim syllabus. Just to give you an idea where the questions have come from those areas, I've already in detail discussed the answers of those questions, the question that came in the prelims examination 2020. And plus, please remember, I'll be doing a one separate video where we'll be in detail discussing the various aspects of this, and as well as every of those single questions have come from the class notes, how associated with this, except for that one question related to Mahatma Gandhi and Karl Marx, which we did not study in the class. Most of the questions we did, rather almost all questions we did study in the class, and in fact the class notes will give you an idea that verbatim at many places this is mentioned there. So these are the questions like we have seen in the syllabus. The political system, the question came from the parliamentary system of government there. Like this is the welfare state ideals, where they are mentioned, they're mentioned in the DPSP. So that's, remember, the Constitution of India. So as I have already told you, we have two facets to the syllabus. One is Constitution of India, and second is what is mentioned outside the Constitution of India. One more suggestion to you, if you see from the 2013 onwards itself, and 2013 onwards, you see the questions that have been asked in the previous year question papers related to first Indian polity. And if you want to have an understanding of the syllabus, then I shall suggest you one simple understanding of that not only the correct option and not only the informations in the heading of the question, the title of the question, but also the information pertaining to the various other options, they shape the kind of a syllabus you have for the examination. Example, if you want to understand what exactly are the various areas normally people will be referring to while framing the question, you go through the all options of the previous year question paper like this. So when you see this, fine, we'll answer this question. Example, the Constitution of India declares the ideal of welfare state in the director principle of the state policy. But to understand the syllabus, you can remember DPSP we need to study, fundamental rights we need to study, preamble we need to study, 7th schedule of the constitution we need to study. It means these are the areas. And when we see the 7th schedule, it means we shall be having an idea about the schedules of the constitution. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All schedule of the Constitution of India. Originally 8 schedule, 9, 10, 11, 12 added into the Constitution of India. It means when they were added, why they were added, what was the reason behind this. Lastly, the question came from the 9th schedule edition over there. So it means once you understand the syllabus is there in the Constitution of India also. But along with this, if you see the previous year question paper, you can have an idea that what are the areas where generally people refer to while framing the question, or what the thoughts come in their mind when they are putting the question in the question paper there. Example, this is Constitution of India defines basic structure. So you got this basic structure doctrine is one part of the syllabus. Judicial review is another part of the syllabus over there. But that you can understand over the period of time if you see the questions over there. We have covered in the class, but remember, we see the basic structure doctrine. So not only the basic structure doctrine, one has to study the basic structure doctrine, doctrine of harmonious construction, beneficent construction, doctrine of lache, doctrine of severability, doctrine of eclipse, number of doctrines over there. So it means when we study this, example, we talk about the doctrine of principle of natural justice. So various facets when we study, we'll be able to have a comprehensive coverage of the examination, syllabus of the examination. Judicial review. So where the judicial review we have in the Constitution of India, it means we need to study Article 13 of the Constitution to 26 of the Constitution, 32 of the Constitution, and then we had to study the various other aspects also of the original and as well as the appellate jurisdiction of the Supreme Court. And then we go into the judicial review of various other countries. So in the main examination, if you see example, the comparison of the Indian Constitution with the other constitutional schemes in the world, it means we study the US Constitution's judicial review, the situation in the US. That is how, like Marbury medicine case. So that's how your preparation will evolve in line, keeping in line with the requirement of the examination there. So obviously, it becomes relatively sometimes a difficult task to frame the entire syllabus. But in polity, one thing is very good, that the polity has a lot of certainty that if you prepare the areas with alacrity, with attention and with focus, then remember what happens over there, that if you cover those areas in time, if you cover those areas with dedication, with focus, with concentrating on those areas, the areas from where the questions more frequently come in the examination, chances of performing in the examination is also relatively very high. So there is a very good relationship between the output and input, the very good relationship between the amount of marks you will be having from those questions vis-a-vis the amount of areas you have prepared from the examination point of view. So there is a very good output-input ratio when it comes to the polity syllabus. In many other areas of the UPSC syllabus, what we see, at times we do prepare, but the questions do not come in the examination. But Indian polity is good in that aspect. That is what those people who prepare the syllabus of the Indian polity, for them, the question become very easy. Why they become very easy? Because there is a certainty with respect to the demand of the question. So that's an advantage over there, right? This is, and like this was, I was talking about the ideas, thoughts. So it means here, if you see this question, it means from the coming year point of view, you need to have an idea that what we are talking about the stateless society, classless stateless society, what we are talking about the class struggle, what we are talking about the abolition of private property. So it means what we are talking about the trusteeship principle. So it means, remember, and what is economic determinism. So these are the areas which will be becoming the part of your syllabus. So A, the syllabus given by the UPSC, number one. B, the syllabus on the basis of the questions they have been asked in the previous year examination. And C, the syllabus on the basis of the areas mentioned in the question in the form of the various other option also. On the basis of this, you can design a comprehensive syllabus that these are the areas from where the questions have been asked in the past, and generally you will be very close to covering the entire syllabus of the prelims examination as well as of the main examination. Bureaucracy, again the question from the civil services main examination syllabus explicitly given governance, or generally polity and governance part of it. That's a preamble of the Constitution of India. So again that preamble, or part 4 of the Constitution of India. So that's a DPS piece. We covered in the classes already those areas in detail. Constitution of India. So that's what example we see 170 we see Article 75 of the Constitution of India or Article 164 of the Constitution of India. We studied this when we were talking about the Uddhav Thackeray's case, especially when he became the Chief Minister. We see the case of Sikkim Chief Minister there, and they were not the member of either of the houses, especially in Maharashtra. We have two houses, Legislative Assembly and as well as the Legislative Council. So your job is what? That suddenly you see what are the provision mentioned in the Constitution of India, what are the provision mentioned in the Representation of People Act with respect to the election or nomination of a member to the respective houses over there. And then we see what are the challenges, especially from the main examination point of view, what are the various Supreme Court judgment, keeping in mind such kind of a scenarios of this. Once for all, this area is prepared and let the question come in the examination over there. Similarly, remember Representation of People Act 1951. If you see the class notes, we have covered not only section 8, but all the sections coming after that with respect to the disqualifications and even what is the role of the Election Commission of India and the President of India in terms of waiving off this restriction of the disqualification, in what scenarios the disqualification condition can be waived off, where the President of India's roles come, what is the role of the Election Commission of India, in what cases the Election Commission of India's advice to be becoming binding, to be followed by the President of India, and more or less it's a decision taken by the Election Commission of India, where technically the President of India comes in the picture. So if you study all those dimensions, definitely you will be able to solve every of the question from the examination point of view. Similarly, remember That's Article 85 of the Constitution. Last year they had the question from the Article 86, 87. This year they had the question from the Article 85. So once you study, and if you see the notes, we have covered everything. Example, this line was as it is there in the notes, that the President of India decides the session to take place where, at what place, and at what time that is deems fit over there. So that's, remember, Constitution of India doesn't provide how many number of times the sessions to take place, what shall be the minimum number of meetings to held over there, but it says over there shall not be a gap of 6 months taking place between the two sessions, between the two sessions. So it means the end of the last session and the beginning of this session, there shall not be a gap of 6 months, but it doesn't say how many number of meetings shall take place over there. So if anyone has studied 85, 86, 87 coupled with the parliamentary procedures related provisions in the parliamentary rules, etc., then we will be able to answer those questions very thoroughly. So one is a constitution and second is the other path. Here the question directly came from the Constitution of India, especially the Article 85 of the Constitution of India. This is with respect to the government policies, schemes related questions and the auxiliary aspects to that, along with the various laws which have been legislated in regard to that. Like Aadhaar, this question mainly was from the Aadhaar judgment. That Aadhaar judgment, a 5 judges bench, which judgment came from the 4-1, that's where the Chandrachud mainly wrote a dissenting judgment. But if you see the class notes, what we did, not only we studied about this Aadhaar money bill aspect, along with this we also talked about the doctrine which is initiated over there, doctrine of proportionality we discussed, the doctrine of rational nexus we discussed over there. So various facets of the examination need to be covered whenever the issues are there. Similarly, Rajya Sabha has equal power, Lok Sabha in the matter of, so if anybody has studied Article 312 of the Constitution of India, Article 368 of the Constitution, removal of government, that is Article 75 clause 3, which says Council of Ministers shall be collectively responsible to the lower house of the parliament, that is House of People, or in case of the state for that matter under Article 164, and similarly making cut motions, example in case of the Parliament of India under Article 113 we talk about the grants, and then we talk about the cut motions. So Article 113, Article 114, if anyone has studied properly in those cases, remember, one would be able to understand that how to answer the question based on this. But if you have studied this, you will come to know the Lok Sabha plays an important role here, the Lok Sabha plays an important role, Rajya Sabha plays an important role, but here the role is to both Lok Sabha as well as Rajya Sabha. So what happens over there, if you simply try and memorize the answers to some of the question, is not the correct strategy. Correct strategy is simple, that you cover the various facets of the syllabus. If you do this, you'll be able to answer the question in the examination. This is with reference to funds. That was again Member of Parliament Local Area Development Scheme. Since it was in news with respect to the COVID problem, in order to fight the COVID problem, the MPLADS fund can be utilized for the various other purposes too, as notified by the Government of India. Because of this, it was in news. Even last year also we covered in the current affairs class notes. This year also in the current affairs plus both the modules, paper 1, part 1 and part 2, in both we had this Member of Parliament Local Area Development Scheme covered over there. And then we have this question like fundamental rights incorporates protection against untouchability as a form of discrimination. See this again, Constitution of India. Read this. If you have read Article 23, 24, right against exploitation, or Article 19 or Article 20 or Article 21, 21A, 22. So it means you know these are the rights with respect to the freedom. Right to constitutional remedy is heart and soul of the Constitution of India, Article 32, or Article 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. That is right to equality. So that's, remember. So generally, if people read the question and they commit a mistake, the right against exploitation. No, untouchability is mentioned, prohibition of untouchability, Article 17 of the Constitution, and all those rights together are clubbed in the form of the right to equality. That is right to equality. So right to equality is not only Article 14, right to equality is also coming from the 15, 16, 17, 18. Even the question was covered in the class notes, as it is the question was written there, that remember right to equality is manifested by which are the following provisions in the Constitution of India. So not only 14, we say sometimes it is a kind of a genus, then these can be considered as a species. It is general, then these are more specific. It talks about equality before law and equal protection of law. Then 15, 16, 17, 18 talks about the specific dimensions of that. Like 15 talks about the general non-discrimination based on religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth. 16 talks about the non-discrimination in a specific dimension of the matters related to the public employment opportunities over there. And on the basis of religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth, descent, on the basis of those over there. So, or residence over there. So, on the basis of those criteria, 17 talks about what? Untouchability. 18 talks about what? That is the abolition of title. So, on the basis of particular titles, people should not be considered to be having particular privileges over there. So, there shall be no titles over there, because there is no one having a better title shall be given a kind of a better status, a particular rank in the society, and that's why there shall be what? People to be treated equal over there. That's what, remember, once you study the Constitution of India, you study various dimensions, you will be able to answer the question. Separation of judiciary from executive is enjoined by, again, preamble of the Constitution, director principle, 7th schedule, conventional practices. If you study from main examination point of view, this is a significant area. When we study the constitutional law, you see the conventions also play an important role over there. But again, remember, preamble of the Constitution, director principle, state policy, 7th schedule, you know, that's a, remember, separation of power. Article 50 of the Constitution of India talks about separation of executive from the judiciary. It means that's a DPS piece. But you know, if you have studied this, obviously you'll be able to answer the questions very easily over there. Constitution, government, here the conceptual question. So when I told you that we studied Constitution, constitutional law, constitutionalism, constitutional democracy, constitutional government, we can understand it means actually we are talking about the limited government. But this you get the syllabus. Government by legislature, what does it mean? Popular government, what does it mean? Multi-party government, what does it mean? Limited government, what does it mean? So over the period of time, you see what has been given in the syllabus in terms of those options also. Similarly, other than fundamental rights, preamble, director principle, state policy, universal declaration, human rights, we covered in the class UDHR. Even I told you that part of the universal declaration in human rights, which is related to the fundamental rights, and the part of that which is related to the director principle of state policy, and gist of those areas we can see in the form of the preamble of the Constitution of India, especially which talks about the liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith and worship also, which talks about the equality of status and equality of opportunity also, which also talks about the aspects with respect to the fraternity, which also talks about the important aspects highlighted in case of the DPSPs also with respect to the justice, social, economic and political. So we see it's having, right, this preamble, director principle, state policy, having a good connect with the fundamental rights, and that's, remember, Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which was adopted on December 10, 1948, December 10, which is also observed as a Human Rights Day. So that's one area. And similarly, this related to the Legal Service Authority is also covered in the Next IAS books, etc. 2019 is the same pattern. I'm just skipping this part because of the paucity of time. So please remember that is, I was trying to tell you the syllabus, especially from where the question comes in the prelim examination. And Indian polity is one area where we see the syllabus of prelim and as well as the syllabus of main almost same. Only the approach to handle those questions is slightly different. Here in the prelim examination, if we have a content, if we have the information, if we have the informations with you, if you have covered those areas, there would be very high degree of chances of solving the question. But in the main examination, having information alone would not help you writing an answer effectively there. For that, not only you need to have a content, you also have an ability to understand what context these content need to be collaborated and corroborated over there, and how to comprehend and how to conclude. If you do not have those abilities, you will not be able to bring continuity in our answers also. So that's what, remember, what becomes very significant from the main examination point of view is to have the content, to understand the context in which this content is related over there. And then when we start writing, there shall be an ability to collaborate and corroborate those information with the purpose of, with the demand of the question. And then we shall be having an ability to conclude, ability to comprehend, and ability to conclude. And then when we have this, then only we will be able to bring a required continuity. So far the demand of the question is considered over there. And this comes from where? It comes from only one thing, and that thing is what? Practice. Practice, 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 and practice. But if we talk about the practice, it's not like the very first day we start writing the civil services main examination question. For any examination question, we talk about even the prelim for that matter, or for main examination. You shall always go to the question before that. You shall always go to the question after you have studied. This means before going to the question, you shall study the same areas over. So unless you study, you shall not be attempting questions, because if you do this, it will be an exercise in futility, right? It's a futile exercise. It's an exercise which will not be yielding any desired result. Moreover, it will be wasting too much of a significant amount of your time. And along with this, it may also have a demoralizing impact so far, your confidence is considered over there. The confidence may be busted over there. Why? Because when you write an answer without having a sufficient preparation and you come up with an ordinary or below average, below par answers, you may not be satisfied with your own performance, and at times many of the students may give up that particular part of writing an answer there. So what's my suggestion is simple. First, have an effective preparation. Know the various facets of the syllabus. Know the various aspects of the demand of the question. Then you will be able to write an answer effectively over there. Please remember, I have seen students at times, they do not even try hard to even understand what exactly is the demand of the question. Apart from the various parts of the question, even what the question keywords are there, especially like what the question is asking us to define, to elaborate, to justify, to examine, to critically examine, to analyze, to elaborate, to explore, to what? To explain, to elucidate, what exactly they are asking, what to illustrate, what they are asking us. You understand that over there. In the light of this statement, explain this. So it means in the light of that statement, we need to explain this over there. Keeping in mind this given condition is given over there, it means in that given, that's given over there. So we are not contesting that part. In that light, we need to explain other things over there. So read the question. So it means over the period of time, if you really want to have a good performance in the main examination, what is needed to be there? Or before, just in brief, I'll come to that. Just have a look this at the main examination. If you see the number of marks belonging to the polity and governance together is 130, 140, 150, 160. Very significant number of marks we get from the paper 2, especially the GS paper 2. That's overall paper 3. In that case, remember, we have a very significant number of marks again coming from the area of polity and governance. And if you see the syllabus of the polity and governance, it talks about similarly the governance, constitution, polity, and then other areas, social justice, international relations, other. So here, remember, principle is we see the polity and governance, and in that polity and governance, one important feature again is a constitution of India. If we are to break it down to the significant part, what the UPSC says, number one is this. And even remember, you can divide the syllabus. And while you are preparing, prepare the key part of the various areas. For example, historical underpinnings. So you have the key informations. Those information which can be used wherever there is a relevance to the question. Like evolution and historical underpinnings. Salient feature of the Constitution of India. Various constitution amendments, significant aspects of the constitution amendment. What is constitution amendment? The process of constitution amendment. The role of Lok Sabha and Rajya Sabha. The role of the state legislature over there. Role of the President of India. And then compare the constitution amendment process in India vis-a-vis the constitution amendment process elsewhere, ranging from the US to the South Africa to the various other process. If you can do that, that will be very good. From the examination point of view, also linked to the other part of the syllabus, comparing the various constitution over there. So along with this, significant provisions and as well as a basic structure doctrine. So it means Keshwan and Bharti versus State of Kerala, or Minerva Mills case, Vaman Rao case, IR Kolo case, and earlier cases also ranging from the Golaknath to the Sajjan Singh versus State of Rajasthan to the various other cases. If you study, it means the comprehensive coverage is over there. But if you study the comparative constitution also, so then you can understand number of constitution. Example, Germany may not have a basic structured doctrine written as it is there, but still we see there is also that kind of a provision in the Constitution of India, where the Constitution of Germany, where the certain part of the Constitution of Germany cannot be amended. It means they also have this. Then we see the number of countries which have also got basic structured doctrine adopted over the period of time over there. So what is this? If you have an understanding of the various other constitution, your answer can become a very effective answer. So one is part one. Like example, last year we had this question: Parliament's power to amend the constitution is limited power and it cannot be enlarged into an absolute power. That's what I told you. If you are prepared, you will be able to understand the demand of the question. If you are prepared, you know this was an important part of the Minerva Mills case judgment over there, and where the Supreme Court established that the Parliament cannot have a sky higher power of rewriting everything in the Constitution of India. If it is the case over there, then what is the difference between amendment of the Constitution and the creation of the Constitution over there? So if you understand the various facets of the Constituent Assembly and the role of the Parliament over there, amending the Constitution, that is inserting, deleting and varying the provisions over there, and then vis-a-vis framing the new constitution of India. And then remember, especially when we talk about the various organs, legislature, executive, judiciary, even there has to be the check and balances over there. So even the part next combined with the one element over there, that if one organ gets the entire power, then remember this organ may be leading towards a kind of authoritarian regime. Then they can amend everything, whatever they think over there. So it means we are talking about the kind of a system we have got. We did not aspire for the parliamentary supremacy. So it means, remember, parliament is an important part of the entire scheme, has to be working within the mandate given by the Constitution of India itself over there. And that Constitution of India which is deriving the power from the we the people of India. So what is the difference between the power given by the we the people of India to the constitution and constitution giving this power to the parliament? That's, if you have an understanding, then you will be able to move forward. So one, you need to, when you read the question. Parliament's power to amend the constitution is limited power and it cannot be enlarged into an absolute power. In the light of this statement, then explain. So one part is in the light of this statement. So first of all, this statement, in the light of this statement, explain whether, now they're asking the question. So you explain, and as well as the question is whether Parliament under Article 368 of the Constitution can destroy the basic structure of the Constitution by expanding its amending power. So now this is to you to explain how Parliament, it's up to you to explain. But suppose if you're explaining the Parliament cannot destroy the basic structure of the Constitution of India, how? So that you need to explain, and for that you need to have one more important understanding of the Article 368 of the Constitution. Then here you need to have an understanding of the various Supreme Court judgment which have talked of the basic structure doctrine and how the basic structure doctrine has evolved. So if you know these things, then proper introduction, proper body parts, proper conclusions can be there. You can divide the body part into the as many number of requirements will be there. My humble suggestion to all of you, at times the people may suggest you to have templates so that you can do those. So if you want to have an easy route, that is also one of the things. So number two, you can prepare the key parts. That also helps you. Like example, part 1, these are the key areas. Part 2, these are the key areas. Part 3, these are the key areas of the various syllabus. So but eventually, once you have a comprehensive preparation, you will be able to write any of those answers. So it doesn't matter. See example, last time the constitutional morality question came in that ethics paper, but we studied along with the polity classes over there. Last year when this question came, even the classes were going on of the foundation batch. The student didn't know that we covered in the class the basic structure doctrine and we talked about this, and eventually the very next some days later the question came in the civil services main examination over there. So if you understand the various facets, it's not like you will be surprised by the UPSC. The questions will be more or less on those lines which we have gone through. So similarly will be in other areas also. So this I'm telling you the syllabus because we don't have time to explain every of those parts in detail in this conclave over here. Some other day I'll discuss some of the questions and then we'll be having a detailed understanding of that. Union, state, local. So one question comes especially from the federal local, especially from the federalism aspect, federal supremacy or the harmonious construction, or what is the kind of we talk about the various aspects of the federalism ranging from the cooperative federalism, bargaining federalism, or remember federalism with the unitary tendencies, where what kind of a federalism will be more needed, or what type of practical understandings we have of those kind of a federalism. What are the various schemes, the acts, what are the various programs, what are the various scenarios in which what type of federalism we see, what is federalism, and then the questions related to the confederation, confederalism, also the question may be asked from those areas. But generally here the question is with respect to the federal local aspect of the devolution of power and finances up to local levels and challenges therein. So sometimes the question comes from this aspect. The one significant area is that federal structure related questions. That's remember functions and responsibilities of the union and the state. So we can divide it into the three parts. Like the last year the question came from the resolution of contentious issues regarding distribution of legislative power by courts. From this. So it means from the resolution of contentious issues regarding distribution of legislative powers by the court. Yahan se, from this principle of federal supremacy and harmonious construction have emerged. So it means what we are talking about as a judicial initiative over the period of time when the courts have gone for the resolution of contentious issues regarding distribution of legislative power. These two principles have emerged of federal supremacy and principle of harmonious construction. So that's how, if we can have an idea what were the important Supreme Court judgment which talked about such kind of important principles over there, such kind of important doctrines over there. And then we can see, even if we have an example with respect to some of the other places where we have seen such kind of a scenario in the federal scheme, including like if we quote one or two places. But here remember, question is very specific, that is with respect to the judicial judicial pronouncements, judgments, judicial discovery of the principle of federal supremacy and as well as a harmonious construction. That's what I told you. Read the question, see the demand of the question, and then proceed in that direction. Otherwise, remember, you many times what the student commit a mistake, whatever question they ask, then answer will be always same. Why they do it happens? Because you always see, if it is federalism related question, put those things over there. The people who invigilate your copies, the people who evaluate your copies, the people who check your copies, they have an understanding that, remember, what is the demand of the question. And that's why it's not very easy to fool them and simply write something and you can have a good marks over there. I'm talking about having good marks. Separation of power. So one question is with respect to separation of power between various organs, dispute redressal mechanism, institution. Like last year we had a question. Do you think that the constitution, now here, the question is what? Do you think? So when you read the question, highlight the important demand of the question. Do you think that the Constitution of India does not accept? So they're asking you, do you think the Constitution of India does not accept the principle of strict separation? So you shall have an idea about what is strict separation of power. Rather, it is based on the principle of checks and balances. So here, remember, do you think? So here from you, the question has been asked where you can take and help from the scholars understanding, the Supreme Court judgments understanding, your own analysis of those understandings over there. On the basis of this, your viewpoint will be highlighted when it comes to this. So one is this, remember, do you think that Constitution of India does not accept the principle of strict separation of power? So similarly, it goes into the syllabus, just syllabus. Comparison of the Indian constitution scheme with that of other constitution. You have to study some of the important countries' constitutional scheme, that is United States of America, France is important, Germany is important, then we have got South Africa is also important, Australia is also important, which we need to study, and along with this even Japan also some of the provisions are important. And then we see the scheme with respect to the such kind of a provisions in the United Kingdom, not necessarily having a one written constitution or one document as a constitution, principally having a parliamentary supremacy. But yet remember what we see there. See the question and see what exactly has been asked in over there. So even we had to study the entire whole scheme in the United Kingdom, the Constitution of USA, France, Germany, South Africa, Australia, Japan, the important provisions over there. We had to compare those. What can France learn from the Indian Constitution's approach to secularism? We covered already in the class. Parliament and the state legislature. So one part is with respect to the legislature of union, legislature of state, and then we have a structure, organization, functioning of the executive and the judiciary. So same part, one is executive, one is judiciary, one is legislature. Pressure groups and informal associations, so and their role in polity. So what is the role of the pressure groups and role of the informal associations in the polity? Along with this, salient feature of the Representation of People's Act. So election from the part 15 of the Constitution of India, and as well as the Representation of People Act 1950, 1951. Constitutional and other bodies. Constitutional, as I've already told you, in the prelims also we have, the question keep coming. Like example, last year if you see the question that was related to the CAT, again see the question, the Central Administrative Tribunal, which was established for redressal of grievances and complaints by or against central government employees. This is one part. But the question is what? Second part is more important of the second part of the question is more important. Nowadays is exercising its power as an independent judicial authority. Explain. So you have to explain this. That's why I told you. See the question. In your opinion, do you think whether it is there? Explain, illustrate, elucidate, right? It means what is the demand of the question? Analyze, explore, explain with examples. So what is given in the question? And that's, remember, once you understand the demand of the question, you will be able to write those points. And that's why. So have a content and then understand that this content in this question, is this relevant or not? If it is there, over the period of time, if you practice, it will happen. It comes with the practice only. So some particular day, I'll explain about all these kind of demands of the question separately over there. The Attorney General is the chief legal advisor and lawyer of the Government of India. So here you shall have an idea about Article 76 and the various other facets not given in the Constitution of India with respect to the role of the Attorney General, ranging from the not only Article 76 we are talking about, remember, even we are talking about how the Attorney General position with respect to participating in the meetings of the parliament, attending the court hearings, and various other offices as a legal officer, first legal officer of the government of India. So from that point of view, that's a question. 2018, the question was from the CAG, Comptroller Auditor General of India, and again related to the tribunals related aspects. Just remember one part of the main examination, that is syllabus. I've already told you civil services main examination preparation, if you want to have a good answers being written, two important facets will be there. A, the whole of the syllabus has to be covered comprehensively. Generally, we see the questions somehow related to the areas which are given in the main examination syllabus. Number 3 is what, remember, if you cover those informations comprehensively, and then you have to start writing answers. So that unless you have informations with you, if you start writing questions, writing answers to the question, you may end up writing substandard answers, below par answers, below average answers, answers of not having good quality, and then you may not be able to have a good confidence, and that's, remember, may have a demoralizing impact on your entire preparation. So my suggestion is our answer writing practice begins when we have at least a decent preparation of the entire syllabus over there, because then we can relate the informations from the various facets. So that at least significant portion has to be prepared first, then only we had to go into that direction of writing answer. Writing answers from the very first day itself will only be wasting your time and will not be having a productive utilization of the time. That's one. I've already told you, having content, understanding context, ability to corroborate information, ability to comprehend, and as well as ability to conclude will highlight your abilities to analyze and synthesize, and that, remember, you will be able to have a continuity in your answers. That's what a good answers will be coming when it comes to the requirement of the examination. You may have your own method of writing an answer. That's a conventional way of introduction, body, or conclusion, or remember, you may have your own way of presentation over there. As long as an answer is able to fulfill the demand of the question, whether it's in the bullet point form, whether it's in a paragraph form, right? Remember, where we have written something which basically a kind of a easy expression or easy understanding of the information comes from the answer written by you. It's up to you, but principal point is, are we able to provide the content which is relevant to the question and is able to satisfy the demand of the question? If it is able to do this, remember, presentation, this discretion belongs to you. The people who evaluate your copy would be respecting your way of explaining the information, as long as you are able to explain the demand, you are able to satisfy, you are able to satiate the demand of the question over there. So if you are able to satisfy the demand of the question, there is no problem with it. That's one. When it comes to the reference to the various areas, NCERT books, they come handy. Please remember, classes generally have no substitute, because we elaborately discuss many facets, and all these things automatically get covered in the classes. So if anybody who joins the classes, generally the first thing is you have a class, and then you have a class notes, and after class notes you refer to the various books. That's what generally I tell the student when I have the classes mine. I say, you go through all the classes we have gone through, because remember, in the classes we will be having up from basics to the advanced, entire comprehensive coverage will be there. But along with this, remember, if any other information which is somehow got skipped because of the paucity of the time in the classes, you can refer to the books. If you refer to the books now, since you already know, the grasping will be relatively higher, productive utilization of time will be there, because you know what to get, what not to get, what to grab, what not to grab, what to retain, what not to retain, what to study, what not to study, what to even look at and what to not look at when it comes to those information. So you have a better understanding of that. And that's what, remember, when you have a certain degree of a preparation, then it becomes very easy to understand and to retain those information also. And that's why, so that's one way. And if you are doing the preparation on your own, in those cases, one of the areas from where you can have the this coverage is class 8, class 9, class 10, class 11, those NCERT books of social and political life, democratic politics 1 and 2, in Indian Constitution and work. If you have this, after that you can go to the Our Parliament and Our Constitution, 2 important books written by the famous Subhas Kashyap. They are very good books, easy language in a lucid form, easy to understand language, it is mentioned over there. And along with this, you have 2 compilations available to you. One is the Next IAS Indian Polity and Indian Polity by M. Lakshmikant. You can have any of those 2 compilations. They're comprehensively covered. Please remember, it's not like when we have such kind of a compilations, generally what everybody try and do, they try and inculcate the even newer aspects over there. So what happens over there, whatever is over here in this book is already over here, and plus some new aspects are also covered, because if we have good number of people working in that direction, and they can keep on updating those information. So that's one part. Along with this, there is one significant and very popular book, but some people find it very difficult to read unless you have these kind of a preparation earlier. In the main examination specifically, it comes very handy. That is Introduction to the Constitution of India, D.D. Basu. So that is a D.D. Basu is an important book on the Constitution of India, but for the main examination point of view, it's very handy. It's also very handy from the prelims point of view, but everybody may not find it very easy to read the kind of a language that is used. In fact, remember, once you study polity thoroughly, you'll start enjoying this language too, because then when you write in such a way in the answers, they will not be bringing that kind of a gravity which is requirement over there. Your more number of informations can be conveyed with the less number of words at time if you have an understanding of the proper terminology, and such kind of a book helps you, like that as we have seen in the form of D.D. Basu, or that kind of an understanding, or otherwise you had to have a class for that. That's one. So if you go for the reference books, and along with this, other books, other material which will really be helping you for the civil services main examination point of view, Administrative Reforms Commission, some related reports over there, Sarkaria Commission, M.M. Punchi Commission is also there. But if you study the Sarkaria Commission recommendation, it takes into consideration many facets over there. Newspaper articles are very significant for you, and relevant points of the Supreme Court judgments also. Like we have seen recent number of judgments coming, similarly the past judgments over there. So the various important things which are highlighted there, national and international developments, and as well as the information related to the functioning of the various bodies. So these are the various informations. Example, newspaper articles, they help you a lot in understanding the various facets of the particular issue. But for that, if you can refer to the various articles written by the various individuals pertaining to the particular issue. Newspaper articles shall only be source of information for you, and not shall be their views, shall be your views. You had to have your own views in the light of the information available to you. The provision of the Constitution of India, provision in the statute books, the various views expressed by the various individuals in the various newspaper articles. So they shall be seen as a source of information. You see the source of information, not necessarily they are right or wrong, only see objectively, have those information, and then you have to have your own conclusions being drawn based on the information which you have over there. That's, remember, shall be a habit while you are approaching the main examination. So that's my suggestion to you. Please remember. I hope I have told you in brief many facets. One more area, when you're studying the polity, try and relate the areas of the polity. Example, if you're studying the union legislature, then when you study the union legislature, combine this with the state legislature then and there itself for that. If you're studying the Lok Sabha, if you're studying the House of People, it means combine this with the state legislative assembly. And if you're studying this, then combine this with the various other constitution of US. This will be able to do this when you have some decent preparation over there. Example, you can go, if you're studying this, you see the various other lower houses over there. Example, you can study about the House of Representatives in US, or you can study about the House of Commons in UK. So if you study over there, if you're studying the Rajya Sabha or you're studying the Council of States, then combine this with the State Legislative Council wherever they are. What are the provisions we have in Article 169 of the Constitution of India? What the Article 168 of the State Legislature talks about? And then you study about the Senate, then you study about the House of Lords, or then you study about some of the upper houses in the various other places. If you're studying about the President of India, if you're studying about the President of India, you also study about the governor in the state over there. If you're studying about the PM, you study about the CMs over there. So what happens? It becomes relatively easy to retain those information. One. Number two is what? That you see what are the various issues which are in news with respect to the current aspect of it. Example, I told you, if this Jammu and Kashmir I already discussed in the class. If suppose there is an issue, like example, you're talking the Citizenship Amendment Act was in news over there. So you see what the part 2 of the Constitution of India talks about. What are the Article 5 to 11 mainly talks about over there. What is the Citizenship Amendment Act is 2019. So what are the provisions of the Citizenship Act 1955 over there. If you talk about related to this is a census. So see what is the Census Act 1948 talks about over there. So this is remember the areas which are in news over here. So current affairs becomes one of the important area to direct you in which direction your preparation shall go in. And once you do this, your preparation automatically will be coming on the lines. So what my suggestion for the preparation part is what, how you shall be approaching your preparation. That remember, you first of all have got the syllabus. So this is identify the syllabus. Once the syllabus, various areas are there, then you go for the preparation of the syllabus. This is, remember, you need to have the study or reference books. Study books, reference books and material. This is reference and material. Or if you can have classes, definitely classes, comprehensive coverage will be there. Then you come into this part. So that is one to this. And once you have this, then you go for the study. So once you have this material with you, then you go for the study, comprehensive study. That has to be comprehensive study. Do not take shortcuts. Do not simply have a superficial study. Go for the comprehensive study. Once you go for the study, then solve questions. So the next part will be solving question. Solving question, one is the previous year question papers. Whatever questions have been asked in the examination, the first phase will be 2013 onwards and second phase will be before 2013. If you find time, you can go even before 2013. Because from the Indian polity area, not much has changed. You can understand what type of question even in the past have been asked over there. Not necessarily every country related question you need to solve over there, but even polity important thing is what, not everything is that kind of a current which doesn't remain significant from the future point of view. So that's, remember, first phase is 2013 to 2020, second phase can be before 2013 also. And along with this, a previous year question paper, if the good questions are available from various coaching institutions, other institutions, you can also refer that, because remember, eventually our target is to answer the question in the real examination. So if you had to answer the question in the real examination, before that you can solve the various previous year questions also. So if you go with this, you will be able to answer the question in the examination, in the various other examinations too. So that's one area if we talk about when it comes to study. So what is my suggestion to you is, first study, then solve questions. First phase. And second phase is what? Solve question and then study. So what do you mean by this? This is second phase. What do you mean by this? When you study, you make notes. Or if you study, you make notes, or you may have a short notes also after that, short notes. But these short notes shall not be duplication of notes. It's short notes is easy to recall, easy to revise, or easy to refer to, and that's why we do this. And then we solve the questions with it. And later on, we solve the question, objective questions or multiple choice question, and the conventional questions also. When we write the answers, we solve the question, and wherever we have a problem, we go to the study material, we go to the reference material, we go to the books, we go to the notes, and we see what are the areas we need to refer. So it means this is a kind of a revision strategy. This is a revision. This is the first preparation. So preparation and revision, if I divide into the two parts, then remember, initial preparation is study, then only solve the question. In future, then solve the question and then go for the revision. Revision in the sense is refer to that material from where the questions have been asked, or what mistakes you are committing, why you are not able to solve the question. Maybe the notes need a kind of a little updation, little revision over there. So that's a strategy you can follow with respect to the preparation part. In Indian polity segment, I shall tell you the final words that it is having a great advantage in terms of what, that if you put effort into this paper, then this effort is going to bring good number of marks in the examination. And one more important advantage is what, that almost close to 100%, almost close to 100% can be your strike rate, that normally we call, or this is a kind of a success rate you can have with respect to attempting the question in the examination, because the polity has very high degree of certainty with respect to expecting that what kind of a question may come in the examination, and what kind of a question means, remember, from what areas what kind of a question may come in the examination, and when these questions will come, you have a very high degree of successfully attempting those questions also. I think some of those ideas you may have got from this understanding what we have tried to, but because it's a paucity of time, so we could not cover the various facets, but yet I hope it would be able to answer some of those questions. Then I'll cover the environment area. So in the environment area, I'll discuss some of the key aspects of the environment. But from the environment, one important point is what, it is more significant from the prelim examination point of view. And once you cover the prelim related areas, then main examination does not become a big issue over there. But the more practice is needed when it comes to the Indian polity of both the prelim as well as main examination. In the main examination, we need to continuously write too many number of times of questions, so that if you do this, then only the practice will happen. As I've already told you, focus on those key things over there. You need to have a content, then you need to understand the context, then you need to have an ability of collaborating information in a way so that you can properly comprehend and as well as properly conclude, so that you can have a continuity in writing the answers. Thank you very much for listening to me. Now I'll come to the environment part. We'll discuss about that.